I've been carrying a camera for most of my adult life. Big cameras with lenses, extra batteries, sometimes I rig them out. But this last month, I wanted to challenge myself to do something different. This last month was our yearly family vacation, and I decided to leave most of that stuff at home, bring one camera, something small, something different, and it kind of changed how I shoot and how I show up. And I didn't bring my usual gear, just the S9 and a small lens. And you know what? It was the first time in a long time I wasn't thinking about being a photographer or a filmmaker. I was just present. And I think like most photographers, I had a lot of opinions about the S9 when it was released by Panasonic last year. And having enjoyed using the camera so much for the last month, it really shows me that I should probably use gear before I make judgment on it, because it is one of my favorite cameras that I've used recently. As someone who likes to edit and as a really busy dad, my favorite feature of the S9 is the real-time LUT feature, which is something that I felt like was a little gimmicky when it was announced, because I wasn't really a big fan of the way Fujifilm does their film simulations. Like, I always have a lot of fun trying to find new ones, but after a while, I just end up shooting raw all over again. And with the S9, I felt like it was a little bit different, where I still could customize the profiles a lot more to my taste. And although I shot in RAW plus JPEG, I really haven't looked at the RAWs because the JPEGs look so good. Like most of the camera gear that I used, I wanted to be multifunctional, not just for like my personal life, but also if I needed for my professional work. And here's like a quick story about something that happened at a wedding day a couple weeks ago. My wife and I traveled up north. I'm from Southern California. We were in Northern California. And so we packed all of our wedding videography gear. And when I showed up, the gimbal actually was crushed under some other gear. So like it wasn't able to work. And I was able to actually use the S9 as like my gimbal camera, just using it handheld. The S9 is actually my first Panasonic camera. And I've always heard really great things about the stabilization on that system, and it wasn't until I actually used it that I felt like it was such a useful tool for people like me who are run and gun photographers or videographers. And so if I didn't have the S9, I think a lot of my steady gimbal like shots that I usually use for like the details, decorations, the space, for the walking up the aisle shots, it actually was more than usable. And actually I was really impressed with the level of stabilization I was able to get. So I'm still going to rely on a gimbal for most of my establishing shots, but the S9 is more than capable to give you some really beautiful photo and video. As much of a gearhead I am, and I love playing with all kinds of cameras, I found that as my kid got bigger, the less I wanted to carry it around. Like today, I'm filming with my FX30. I'm here in LA. I'm never here this early in the morning, so I wanted to document it. And I wanted to talk about the S9. So I brought the FX30, but if I wasn't filming anything, I didn't really want to carry anything around. And so I felt like I was missing a lot of moments with like my kid that I wanted to get with like my bigger setups, but I wasn't really bringing it around, mostly because I just didn't want to carry it around. So I felt like I was missing a lot of the things that made me fall in love with photography in the first place. Like I was using a lot of my gear to like make a living, but I wasn't using any of it to do projects that made me fulfilled. So as much as I like to carry stuff around, I wasn't really using it. So that's why I really wanted to try out the S9. And like the S9 is so tiny, even like with my relatively small hands, this whole setup is so small if you have like the 18-40 kit lens. So I find that this setup is really perfect for the kind of everyday things that I do, like with my kid and with my family. It really feels like it's the perfect blend of everything that I like about cameras, which are like high-end specs, but also the portability of having such a powerful setup in a really small, compact package. Like, look how small this is. Like, again, I have really small hands, so comparable, like, you know, it kind of feels like a baby version of my Leica Q2 with like much better video specs and a lot lighter. The lack of an EVF is something I have to get used to and I had to get used to, and like the good compromise I think that I found is this like cheap Kex 28mm viewfinder, which I don't really use a lot to compose. I just kind of use it to like as a reminder that I don't have a viewfinder. So like I like to set this lens to 28mm and kind of shoot like that. And I find that it works relatively well if you turn off the screen and if you just want to like live in the moment. These cameras have, I mean, for me, I don't really have a lot of experience with Panasonic, but so far with Panasonic, I found that the autofocus is reliable enough, and it's actually more reliable than when I was using the X100 VI, which originally I bought for this exact purpose as like my dad camera, take everywhere kind of camera, and they ended up selling it just because it's just, although I love the form factor, it wasn't really like filling that space that I wanted for both photo and video because it just felt a little clunky to use. But I really love the experience even though I am missing an EVF. And I really think that's where the S9 really shines. It's not about having perfect video specs or perfect photo specs. It's just about having something that's portable, that's enough to get the shot. And I gotta say, I'm super impressed about how much Panasonic was able to pack into this tiny camera. And you know, most cameras right now, they're very good. So like I don't, just like most, I think most people that put themselves out there on YouTube, I also don't believe like there's any bad cameras, just cameras that are good for different people. And this is not a camera that I necessarily think fits everybody's kit, but for me who reviews stuff online, but also is a professional videographer and also a dad who's busy and who likes to get things for their kids and document my kid's life, I think this really fits that perfect kind of balance between photo and video that I was looking for. By keeping this camera with me at all times, it's not like I'm ever planning on shooting photos or filming anything. It's just that if something happens that is happening in my life that I really want to record, I already have this with me and I just have to hit record or hit the shutter and I have it. You know, one of the funniest things about being a pretty busy parent is that when I do find some time to do whatever, like make a YouTube video or walk around a random trail near the old LA Zoo apparently, I have a hard time concentrating. But anyway, this is mainly just a test to show you guys what the sound is like out of the S9 without a microphone attached. Granted, I'm in a pretty quiet area of LA, so let me know how that sounds. I know when I'm looking at new cameras, I want to know what this is the kind of thing I want to know. So yeah, this is what the S9 sounds like without a microphone attached. And I'm a little bit overexposed here, but it's okay. As much as I like the S9 and all the features that it packs into such a small, compact size, my biggest gripe with the system is the lack of portable prime lenses. I know Sigma makes an L-mount 35 f2 lens that I tried for the SL2S when I had it a couple years ago. I haven't been able to find it in stock anywhere, so I'm kind of still waiting to try that combo out, because for a camera this small, for me the name of the game is just autofocus. And although there's a couple of different options that I could use, 35mm lenses that are like smaller, that are manual focus lenses, it kind of defeats the purpose for me for having a kit this small. So I'm waiting to see if Sigma, or more specifically Lumix, has any more compact primes in the works, because I think they'll make this system perfect. And I love shooting with it, and I even have this 50mm f1.8 lens, and this is a great deal of a lens. I got it used for less than $200. It goes on sale all the time and has great image quality, but as you can see, it makes the whole kit a lot bigger. So if I'm out with my kid, I don't really want to bring as much gear as like I'm bringing today, because you know, today is a filming day. But ideally, I would love to have the kit lens that I got with the camera, the 18-40, which I love. I think it's perfect for family stuff, more than fast enough for everyday things. Whenever I'm doing family stuff, it's daytime most of the time, midday. So I don't need a fast prime, but for an all-purpose lens for whenever I am out later, it will be nice to have a fast prime if I want to get a nice portrait of my kid, or if I'm just shooting in low light. So I think that would be ideal for me to be able to recommend it for most people. I think for enthusiasts or people who are just gearheads like I am and are also parents, I think this is a great addition to a kit. This actually replaced a bunch of different cameras for me. I was shooting with the Osmo Pocket 3. I sold that off. I was using the Action 5, which I still do, for a lot of like quick stuff with my kid, or if I'm like out near water or something like that. Dedicated video camera, it's perfect for that. But I think this is going to be my camera going forward for just if I'm out with my family, I don't want to bring a big camera with a bunch of different lenses. This is the camera for me. So I hope that Lumix invests time and effort into producing some fast primes. It doesn't have to be super fast. I would be more than happy with like a f2.8 if it stays small. So yeah, I'm super curious on what Lumix will have going forward with the Lumix S9. And look, I don't think the S9 is for everybody, but I think for me in my season of life, I think the S9 fits perfectly what I need it to be. And with all the different firmware updates that Lumix has actually implemented into the S9, I think it is a more well-rounded camera now without the video limitations, and they continue to like put more stuff into their cameras via software. So it's something that I'm really impressed. And although I use cameras from all different manufacturers, I think I'm gonna keep an eye out on Lumix a little bit closer just because of how much I actually enjoy using the S9. And again, I don't think the S9 is for everyone, but for me, in this season of my life, it's kind of perfect. I don't need to be the filmmaker in the room. I just want to be present, and sometimes the right camera is the one that lets you be both. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.